Good morning again. And for those of you on YouTube who weren't there at 6:45 this morning, I'm Diana Clark, and Gil will be back tomorrow at 7 California time. He's spending some time with his family this morning. So, just say a few words about anapanasati practice, mindfulness of breathing, that Gil has been doing on these mornings. And as many of you know, there are 16 steps, and Gil has been through the first half, the first 8. And there's a number of ways in which we might understand all these steps and the organization of them. One way is that this is a progression of getting to know one aspect of our experience, the body, the mind, and then after becoming familiar with it and being with it, then there's some letting go, some releasing of that aspect of experience. When the time is right. It doesn't have to be in a hurry. We just take our time, allowing the experience perhaps to melt or soften as best we can. So we started with noticing the physical aspect of our experience, breathing. And this breathing accompanies us through all the other explorations. Just in the same way that when we're on a pilgrimage, we just keep walking. One step after another, one breath after another. Then after breathing, then there's expanding to include the whole body. The bodily sensations, of course, breath is occurring within a body. So to expand the awareness to include the body. And in this we also include any sense of contentment, any sense of okayness, any pleasure, pleasant sensations associated with this bodily experience. And allowing those to be a support as we continue on our pilgrimage, so to speak. And then we turn towards the mental aspect of our experience, including the physical sensations that are associated with thinking or whatever mental activity we might be having. Sometimes that's really subtle, the physical aspect of the mental experience. So without getting tangled up in trying to figure it out, maybe just kind of being with the experience without being identified or lost in the experience. In some ways it's a little bit of a pulling back from our thinking. And of course, noticing how our judging, our evaluation of our experience is yet one more mental activity. We might feel how that feels, the judging, the pushing, the pulling, wanting, not wanting, this is desirable, not desirable. So to help support this experiencing mental activity, is it can be a stepping back of some sort, so kind of a pulling back a little bit, and knowing what is taking place rather than being fully immersed into it. And mental activity deserves our attention. Sometimes we might have the idea that we just have to get rid of it, but it deserves our attention, because when unattended, it often is running our lives without our even knowing it. So then there can be, after becoming familiar with mental activity, there can be a calming, a softening, or relaxing of that mental activity. And notice that I'm not saying that we have to eliminate, eradicate, exterminate, something like this, the mental activity. We're just allowing it to quiet. Maybe I'll say a few words about what can be some supports for this. One is that the earlier steps in anapanasati, the breath, being with the bodily sensations, allowing some ease or relaxation of the bodily sensations, can be a tremendous support for calming the mental activity. So if we find ourselves really caught up and busy with thinking, we can just incline the mind towards the physical experience, including the physical experience of thinking. So that's one way, is to ground our awareness in the present moment, in the embodied presence that we have right now. And this also includes being aware of some of the pleasant sensations we might be having. There might be some ease with the breath, some smoothness of the breath. There also might be some vague, diffuse experiences of just some contentment or okayness. Maybe we can incline the mind that direction. That also can be a support for the calming of the mental activities. Is to, if there's some aspect of ease, to tune into that aspect of ease. And maybe we can, rather than feeling like we have to get rid of our thoughts or make them slow down or go away or whatever ideas we might have, maybe we can have this emphasis on a gentle inquiry. Is this helpful? Or is it unhelpful? Is it helpful in promoting a sense of ease and freedom, peace, and or am I learning something here? Is this valuable? Or is there a feeling I'm just stuck and I'm just going around and around and around? There is no sense of potential learning or potential freedom or ease. So that might be another way to kind of work with mental activity, is to shift away from it has to be different, to shift towards, well, is this helpful? And sometimes the answer to that can bring a different reaction, response to our mental activity, which might allow that mental activity to unfold in a way that is helpful. Another thing that we might do is to just do a gentle inquiry of what's fueling this thinking. There might be an emotion. And just like at the beginning of this, before the guided meditation, I talked about when we're on a pilgrimage, there might be some barking dogs. And one way to be with them is just to show them our open hands and show them that we're safe for them. So is there a way in which we can be safe for our emotions to be expressed, to show up? Can we maybe in some way listen deeply to ourselves and allow the emotion to arise without getting tangled up and thinking that it has to be otherwise or has to be different? Can we just create the space for our emotional experience? And that might also kind of soften some of the mental activity as we soften the fuel, what's supporting that mental activity. And then maybe one other thing that I will say is sometimes it can be skillful to replace unhelpful thoughts with other mental activities that are more helpful. So to intentionally do something. An example might be to do some loving kindness practice. If we feel that we're filled with rage and ill will and thoughts of harming, hostility, in a way that is not helpful or healthy, or we just feel like we're lost in it. So we can do some loving kindness practice in whichever way it's easiest. We're not necessarily towards the object through which we have hostility, but just incline the mind towards where it's easy, with a lovable being. Allowing the mind to kind of like calm down and settle with this loving kindness. So we might bring in to like replace thoughts, uncomfortable thoughts with some, or unhelpful thoughts with some other thoughts. Another way might be to use our imagination. Sometimes we do this in guided meditations. Maybe you do it yourself. The wings of a bird flapping. Or maybe ice skaters that they skate, and then glide, and feeling into the glide. Or maybe the imagination of taking off this itchy, scratchy sweater and instead putting on your favorite t-shirt. So there might be some skillful ways in which we can replace some of our thinking. And can we do this while being aware of the breath, all the while allowing the breath to accompany us? And maybe the last thing I'll say is there might be also an opportunity to say for some thoughts, some mental activity, no, I'll work with this later, after meditation. Right now, I'm going to be with the sensations of breathing. So I offer these as some tools that might be helpful as we're practicing meditation. And as tools, if they're not helpful, we don't use them. So, with a sincere wish that you are being with the sensations of breathing, with your practice, your meditations, maybe they be a source, a support of ease and peace and freedom in your life and in the lives of others. Thank you.